Very good. We're learning this is a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1991. And in that year, Tazria and Metzora were joined, just like in this year. They're joined together. And we said that Tazria, that shows on giving birth, which that's the redemption. But immediately after, that's the first of the double portions that we read. But immediately after that, it talks about all the laws of impurity. And the second portion that we read starts off with the name impurity, and then it talks about how to declare the Metzora pure again. And it also seems to be in the wrong order. First of all, it talks about Geula, Tazria, the future redemption. And the second portion comes after it is talking about Metzora, that's exile. So everything is all mixed up, right? And the first thing that we read, it starts off on a good note, but then it goes into a bad note, and then it gets even worse. That it talks about Metzora, that's the second beginning, the name of the second portion. But then in the end, it talks about good. Why is it all this mix-up? So the Rebbe says, because if you look at it in the wrong way, it's a tremendous mix-up. But if you look at it the proper way, you'll see that it's telling a big lesson, a tremendous message. What's the message? That the fact of the matter is that this a spiritual disease comes from a tremendously high place in holiness. So because of the great, tremendous holiness of the source of this, therefore, there comes out the disease. And it's something like turning on a really, powerful light. So, if the room is dark, so you don't see any blemishes or any sort of imperfections in your garments, or let's say you're wearing a coat, a pair of shoes, or something. So you buy it, and it's very nice, looks very nice. You go out on the street in the daytime, and you realize in the store it was sort of dark, and there was sort of like blue lights over there. They wanted to be fancy, modern. But as soon as you go out into a bright light, all of a sudden you see all these imperfections. Maybe a little string is, thread is hanging off over here, and maybe it's a little bit dirty over here. It's the same thing here. If a person wants to really purify himself, to really, let's say, be who he really is, totally healthy in all aspects, spiritually, physically, emotionally. So if he really wants to be healthy, so then he'll appreciate if someone corrects him. You know that you have a little bit of a bad temper. Do you know that I'll tell you an example. There's a fellow in Kfar Chabad, a really nice fellow. I know him for a long time, but he has a bad temper. He yells at people. He yells especially at his own children. He brings his children, he expects a lot from them, and he yells at them. And he's a nice person, a very capital. He's never violent or anything like that. But he yells. So one day I took him aside. I said, listen, it's not, you lose your temper. You shouldn't do it. He respects me. Maybe I'm a little bit older than him. Well, I don't know what it is. Anyway, he respects me. So, and he knows that I'm not saying for anything bad. I'm not telling him that, listen, you're disgusting. You bother me, something. No. I'm doing it for his own good. I said to him, listen, you have a bad temper. You shouldn't yell. I said, well, the things that you say are okay, but you don't have to say them in a yelling way. You could take a person aside, first of all, and talk to him quietly, or even if you can't take him aside, at least sit quietly and tell the person, but in a nice way. You're yelling at your children. Why? To improve them, because they're doing something wrong, because they bother you. So nobody benefits from it. You look like a fool. A couple of days ago, he came to me and said, listen, I really appreciate what you told me. He says, I really appreciate it. I didn't realize it, but I was losing myself totally. And I've been doing it for years. So you just said a couple of words. I said, it was an amazing miracle. I said the right thing at the right time to the right person. Sometimes you can say that same thing, but if I say it in the wrong way, it's also, it won't be accepted. If I went up to him and said, hey, you're making a fool of yourself, or I said, let's say the right thing, but I said it in front of someone else, or I said it in a time when he himself was angry. No, okay, but the fact of the matter is, when there is light, truth revealed, so that's a good thing. That's the same thing as Metzora. Metzora is a result of the truth being revealed. Because too much truth is revealed, as therefore the bad comes out. A person that really likes, that wants the truth, so he really appreciates it. And that's this whole idea. And this tremendously high awareness of God suddenly makes a person, I have to, I thought I was 100%. I thought I was a big tzaddik. In fact, I thought I was God. All of a sudden I realized, wow, I was making a mistake. And even it could be the smallest of imperfections, but a person who's genuine wants to fix it up. From this movement, we can understand. And that was in the Holy Temple. At the time of the Holy Temple, a person that had some sort of an imperfection, as if he wanted to get rid of it. If he was a person that was, how do you say, honest to himself. From this movement, we can understand also regarding the Golus for Geula, the whole idea of exile and redemption. Nigei HaMetzora, this whole idea of the blemishes of the tzorat, of this, we'll just keep calling it spiritual leprosy, which that's exile, and refining it and making it pure, that's called the redemption. Galut, exile, the whole idea of exile, of galut, is shenyani, helam v'hester, all these things which conceal God, the light of God. Like it says, Otiotena lo ra'inu, we don't see any lights, signs of God. Until choshech, until it's totally dark. Ubafrat, and especially a choshech, couple of machupo, and especially the darkness which is doubled and redoubled at the end of the time of exile. Now, mitzad shorsho makoro, because of its source, hu in yenali yoter, it's very, very high. The fact that all this tremendous decadence and self-destruction is being revealed in the world now is something that's never been done before. What do we had before? We had, the glory that was Rome. We had the whatever it is that was Greece. I had some sort of a poem. Who was it? Who wrote it? I know. There were evil people, there were bad people, but okay, we defeated them, right? There was the communists, the Nazis, the this. Okay, we defeated them, and that's it. They stopped. The point up to now has just been, just leave us alone. Just leave us alone. That's all, right? But all of a sudden in our generation is becoming revealed all this like really hidden bad that we didn't think was bad before. We didn't think it was a bad thing before. Suddenly we revealed that, that it's like, what do they call it? It's everywhere. There's a good word for it. Oros Elyonim, upper lights of God, Shalamayla, which are above the exile in any vessels. Until the level which is above any revelation, totally low ra'inu. We don't see any godliness at all. What does it mean we don't see godliness at all? In a way, we see the excellent essence of God, an aspect of God that cannot be perceived. Because this essence of God is being revealed now, so all the little blemishes that were unnoticed in the previous generation are now all coming to the surface. And it's really ugly. And people are proud of it. Because of God Milas flaws. Oros, Shalamayla Megillah, which are above revelation, Mishtalshal that comes down below, Helam Behester, a tremendous darkness, Shemizeh Boim comes, all the bad things that there are in the time of exile. Right? It says, for instance, the Holy Temple was destroyed. The first temple was destroyed because the Jewish people, they did what was called Gilui Araya Shfichas Damim and Avodah Zorah. They did sexual crimes and idolatry and murder. Not that everyone was going around murdering everybody and raping everybody, but they allowed it. They allowed it to go. They thought it was okay. They thought it was okay. They weren't necessarily proud of it, but everybody did it. Now in the land of Israel, we have a government where they're proud of these things. They allow all these missionaries in. That's idolatry. They allow these weird LGBT, whatever is parades, that's licentiousness. They actually provide support and money to terrorists. That's bloodshed. Those are the three things for which the Holy Temple was destroyed, and they just ignored it totally. And now it's revealed. It's all floating up to the top, and they're proud of it. They're all proud of it. So we see that all the bad that there is in the world is coming to the surface now. It's coming up to the surface. It's just visible. No one's trying to hide it. They're not trying to deny that they're doing it. Right? Not trying to deny that they do it. What is the Prime Minister of Israel gave a speech? We need the missionaries. They have to be here. It's a necessary thing. If it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be the state of Israel. That's what he said. There wouldn't be the state of Israel. And therefore, right, he's always explaining to the United Nations, no, we want the terrorists to be here. We just don't want them to be terrorists, of course. And the same thing with the parades, with the parades that to be an example to the world. What are we talking about? The world is an example to us. We're an example to the world. So everything is coming to the surface. Why, says the Rebbe? Not because it's so far away from God, because it's so close to God. It's like turning on the lights. All of the bad suddenly becomes revealed that was concealed. And therefore, Gama Tikkun, how do we fix it up? By means of doing our good deeds and our service of God. All of the time of exile is not by means of a new thing, but by means of revealing the truth, why the exile is here. Not just by doing Torah and doing good and defeating the bad, that we hold on to our bastion of holiness and don't let the bad touch us. That's a big accomplishment to do that. But now, says the Rebbe, no, we're here to show why the bad is being revealed now, why there is the whole thing of exile. Like it's explained in the Shatikun, is fixing up not by means of negating the bad, but by means of transforming the bad to redemption. Like it's known, by means of drawing down this letter of Aleph, Alufa Shalom, becomes the Gola, Geula. Gola means exile. We don't want to destroy it. All we want to do is turn on the lights, put the Aleph, or put a light inside of it, and it becomes Geula. All of a sudden, all the bad becomes revealed for what it is, but just a wrong decision. We did it because there was no light revealed. Orot, Elyonim, very tremendously high revelations of God, which are too high to be revealed. Like it says, God makes darkness his hiding place. Asher al yedei ma'asenu ba'avodaseinu, by means of our work and our service, the whole time of exile, Polim, we can bring about that. Even these high, tremendously high lights, which are blinding, right? Which are blinding. It makes everything dark in front of us, which are above to be revealed. Yom Shucho will be drawn down and revealed below. And by means of this, will be automatically negated the possibility of any concealment on godliness. When total godliness is revealed, when people see what real health is, what real good is, no one will say, "Hey, man, I thought good was, doing a sex change or taking drugs or doing these the decadent things. I thought that was good. I mean, it felt good. I thought it was good. It seemed to be good, At least it wasn't the bad of the world." You say, man, you missed out the point. The world is really good. You missed out the good part of the world. We can say, that what's so what that's the Rebbe says. All we have to do is reveal the purpose of the bad. The purpose of the bad was to show us that the only reason we did it was because we were far from the Creator. And as soon as now we want to be one with the Creator, we realize, hey, this world is a beautiful place. Let's use it the way the Creator wants. But here's the one we can say that the advantage in our deeds all the time of exile, that by means of this we bring, that these upper lights of God, these upper revelations of truth will be drawn down below. This is because of what? Bittul umasirat nefesh, because of surrendering ourselves to the Creator and self-sacrifice. And this self-sacrifice is stressed, especially now in the time of exile, by means of this bittul, by means of surrendering ourselves to the Creator, closing our eyes, ignoring all the peer pressure, ignoring all the bullying, ignoring all the spirit of the times, right? Ignoring all of our negative thoughts and our apprehensions and our fears and our frustrations and our paranoias, and and our own lusts and our own this. What do we have to do? We have to negate all these bad things, surrender ourselves to good, and mesirat nefesh, self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice means not sacrificing yourself, jumping off of a bridge or dying. It means sacrificing your desire a little bit, doing what God wants and not necessarily what you want. Shemitzad bechinas yechidah. Where does this come from? From the essence of the soul. Hakashur, which is connected to and receives from the level of yechid, which is above the whole order of creation. This makes a joining of the two things of going and coming back. Sha'orot ve'elyonim nimshachim u'mitgalim bekelim. What does it mean, going and coming back? Going and coming back is like a pulsation of life. Makes the world alive. We said this so many times. A cadaver, a dead body, is dead, so it doesn't move, and it's not alive, but it doesn't make any troubles either. A dead body, maybe after a while, if you keep it cool, you can get embalmment or something. When it's alive, all of a sudden it starts moving around, but it's alive. Alive means that there's a circulation. The heart is pumping. The lungs are breathing. Your skin is breathing. Your stomach is working. Right? Your brain is working. There's pulsations going through your whole entire body. Everything is moving. Well, that's the whole entire idea of creation. Creation now is, so to speak, dead because we're not enlivening it. The future will be that the world will be joining that, like we just finished learning, that God, the essence of God, with the world. Everything that's concealing God suddenly will reveal it. That's what we said. Put the aleph, the revelation of God. Aleph is or, light. Aleph is ahava, love. Aleph is emunah, faith. Aleph is ometz, courage. By revealing these things, Aleph is Abraham. By revealing these things in the world, we reveal how precious and amazing the world itself is. I hope he's according to this. Now we can understand the connection between Parshas Tazria, Metzora, Geula, and Golus. Tazria is redemption, giving seed when a woman gives birth, and Metzora means being sick. That's the opposite. Also, it says that a person that's a Metzora was considered to be like dead, and giving birth is the opposite of death, right? So now we can understand how we can join these two things together. Inyan and Negoyim b'Parshas Tazria, the whole idea of the redemption, Tazria, and Metzora is exile. But in Tazria we have in Negoyim all the leprosy, which that's the idea of death. So the Torah portion, which is called giving birth, it talks about death. And the Torah portion, which is called death, Metzora, it talks about how it's refined. Right? Metzora is talking about death. So the Torah portion, which is called life, Tazria, it explains all these laws of death, Metzora. And the Torah portion, which is called death, Metzora, it explains all the laws of being alive, being pure. Now we can understand why it's all mixed in together. Why? Kavan said, Golus, since the future redemption is not a thing in its own, it's not like our enemy, so to speak, but this, in fact, is revealing in Yani Amita the whole true idea of exile. Like we said, Metzora, it reveals what's self-sacrifice, namely not to pay so much attention to the bad parts of the world. And therefore, after the introduction, Ishaki Tazria V'Yolda Zachar, she Romans, that this hints at the whole idea of serving in the time of Isha Tazria. This talks about our serving God in the time of exile, Tazria, planting. Tazria means to plant also, to give seed. By means of this comes the redemption, which is not after it any sort of exile. Yolda Zachar gives birth. How does the Torah portion start off? A woman, when she gives seed and gives birth to a male. Seed means she plants the seed, and there comes the male. In our case, let's say the seed is the egg in her ovary. So that if this is fertilized, then she gives birth to a zachar. Isha kitazria, when there is a seed, she gives birth. That's the whole idea of the redemption, giving birth. But then after that comes all the details of Nagayim, of Tzorat, exile. The Torah portion is called, like we said before, the Torah portion is called redemption, and it only talks about all the bad things. Why? The exile, the exile. Why? Kavan since in the going, because the exile really, in fact, is tremendously high lights of godliness that come to show us our smallest imperfections. Therefore, even after descending down, this is nevertheless, even after this revelation of God, it shows only just in the outer part of your skin. That the things that were concealed, the bad inside of you, becomes revealed only on your skin, the impurities. That's talking about Tazria. So again, in Tazria, it's talking about the future redemption. The future redemption is going to be big lights of God, revelations of God. What's going to be the outcome of these big revelations of God? We're going to see all the bad. All the evil is going to come be revealed. It's going to come to the surface. So, hey, that's not redemption. That's terrible. It says, no, that's the best thing. All the bad that's inside of us will be revealed. So it starts off good, and it seems to get bad, but no, that's even better. And in Parshas Metzora, in the Torah, which is in the Torah portion, which is called exile, which we explained that is really essentially a good thing. Medubar is speaking about the Taharas and Negoim, is talking about the future redemption. Why? Since the Taharas and Negoim is by means of revelation, the true idea, Negoim. Why are these Negoim being revealed? So it's a continuation. First of all, it talks about Tazria means revealing the revelation of God in the exile. What's the result of that? All the bad things come to the surface. Then the next one is talking about all the bad things. It's a continuation. Why are these bad things being revealed? Why is there exile? Why is it there? The whole purpose of this exile is in order, that's the thing of the leper, for the good is to get rid of all of the bad, so there can't be any more bad anymore. Since these upper lights, this upper truth of God will be revealed below, it'll be an eternal redemption that there won't be anything after it. Maybe let me give an example of what this is like. It says, for instance, in the raising of the dead, there won't be any more death anymore. People will live forever. So a lot of people hear this and they think about it for a couple of seconds and they say, I think that's pretty terrible. I mean, death is a bad thing. You just want to keep getting older and older and older and older. I mean, that not only, even if you didn't get older, that's boring. That's pretty boring. You know, what are you going to do all the time? You know, even people that love to run around and, you know, have a good time and take drugs and stuff like that, but they eventually get tired of it. They get tired of it. So let's say they didn't get so tired of it, but after a while, you know, come on, how many steaks can you eat? How many, you know, parties can you go to? Eventually you start getting a little bit tired of the whole business. And even if you don't do those things, then it's really boring. You know, then what are you going to do? So it's, learn Torah, do commandments. That also becomes a little bit boring. You know, come on. Isn't it boring? So the answer is exactly the opposite. One of the aspects of exile, when Eve, Chava, ate from the tree, she brought boredom into the world. Before that, there was no boredom. Everything was interesting. The world, every instant was challenging, either to appreciate the world or to add something to the world, to have a deeper awareness of God, of the world, of everything so intricate and so amazing and so intricate. You figure everything is so intricate and amazing, eventually you get bored. It says, no, boredom is because you think that every moment is not new. But the fact is, every moment is new. Every moment there are these people, there's videos about people that they see for the first time, or they see colors for the first time. There's these glasses you can find, you can see colors, or people that hear for the first time, right? So I guarantee you that those people don't get bored from listening, from hearing, or from seeing colors or whatever, because they always think back to that first second that they saw, wow, I remember I saw a bird, I saw a flower, that color just, wow, it just hit me, You see the red of a color or yellow of a color, just makes you want to cry, right? So what are you, nuts? What do you want to cry? I work in a florist shop. I see colors all the time. Nothing makes me cry. That makes me cry. That doesn't make me cry. What's amazing about color because you get jaded, you get, how do you say, what's it? You stop a little bit being human. You don't appreciate things. In the future, everything is going to be even more. Every instant of the world is going to challenge us to do more, to reveal some hidden potential we didn't have. Every person we meet, everything that we see is another opportunity. It's interesting. The world is interesting. He says, I remember when I was young, I think the same thing now. I don't listen too much to, rock and roll music now. But I remember when I was younger, so they used to have rock and roll, because it was very big, Almost all the songs, if you look back at it, almost all the songs were different. Or the same, I'm sorry. They were almost all the same. Almost all the same. The chords were the same. It was 1-4-5. All the same. Or there was the other songs. That's all they were. All the songs were almost exactly the same until the Beatles came along. They changed it. But all the songs, hundreds, thousands of songs, they were almost the same, and all of them were interesting. Oh, look at a new song from somebody from what is his name? I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, it's not important. Oh, a new song that sounded exactly like the previous song, almost exactly, but it was interesting. You like that? It was a little bit different word, a little bit different this. It was interesting. It was alive. It was alive. The same thing with the world. Everything seems to be almost exactly the same. But when you realize the uniqueness of everything, everything is interesting. It makes you jump. But that's what's going to be in the future. But the most thing that's going to be in the future is the revelation of our potential. Each and every human being is going to realize how amazing miracle we are and how we're here to connect to the Creator. And the Creator is even a bigger miracle because He gives us all this. If we can also add on, also the Kesher by Hemshech or the Parsha Shematchilin Mikro, the Mincha. Also, what we're going to read, and the Mincha of this coming Shabbos, Acharei Mot Kedoshim. Parshat Acharei, that in it we're talking about that the Acharei Mot is talking about the death of the two sons of Aaron, Nadav and Avihu, that there should not be running to God, right? Don't do what Nadav and Avihu, that they just wanted to get close to God. They didn't care what happened. They were not interested in the world at all. That's called kolot nefesh. It's called being over interested in God. The two sons of Aaron, they just wanted to get into that holy of holies and be close to God. They didn't care anything. But you have to have both. You have to go close to God, appreciate God, but you also have to you have to bring that back into the world. Neshamos, souls that on their own, they go to God in bodies. That on their own, they are, let's see how much it goes. Okay. What happened? I skipped over here. Yes, souls as they are in bodies, and specifically that they're alive, and the fact that they could be even eternal life, that's what's going to be in the future. In our generation, it could be that there won't be any how do you say delay between them. Chai aguf gadavka. It could be that people won't have to die. But it'll be a way that will reveal the true highness and holiness of the body. This is the idea of joining together, going up, being close to God, that's our soul, and coming back into the body will reveal that the body is even higher than the soul. That the highest lights of God will be drawn into vessels. That's the whole idea of the raising of the dead. Says the Rebbe over here, the raising of the dead doesn't mean you're going to necessarily have to die. One place said you can just close your eyes for a couple of minutes or whatever. In any case, the people, when they die, so after they die, there's basically no time. So a person that comes back from the raising of the dead, it's almost as though he was never dead. Almost. But still, the world would be better without any death. Says the Rebbe, that's achrei mot, after death. And there won't be any more death. Acharei mot, that's it. And then even more kadoshim. That's the second Torah portion we read next week, but we read both of them on Mincha, the coming Shabbat. Kadoshim, that in it it's talking about the commandment of kadoshim to you. You have to be holy. Why? Because I'm holy. That's what it says. Kadoshim to you, ki kadosh ani. God said you have to be holy because I'm holy. It's a commandment. The Ramban makes a beautiful explanation about this, that a person has to be holy in everything that he does. Shebiyota b'nei Yisrael, that while the Jewish people are in this physical world, physical, mundane world, that then it's relevant to command them they have to be holy, because after a person dies, he's already holy automatically. There's no commandments, no free will. You have to choose to be holy. You have to be separating yourself from negative, selfish things. Then when you do that, you're holy. Until the Kedusha Hachinal is the highest level of holiness that there can be, the holiness of God, like in the Holy of Holies. Like the rabbi said, Yochel Kamoni. The God said, you have to be holy because I'm holy. You can be like me. That's what it says. Kadosh Ani, I am holy. Like Chassidus says, Yochel Kamoni ben Yechuta. It says, you can be like, really, in the Gemara, it says, you might think you can be holy like me. No way, I'm holy. Ki Kodesh Ani, I'm holy. You can't be as holy as me. But Chassidut says, no. Yochel Kamoni, you can be holy like me. Kol Echad Bechad Mitzrael, that each and every Jew, Yochel, can be Kamoni, like God, so to speak. Not that we can make up our own Bibles or whatever, but we can be the darga of holiness of God, to see everything brand new. And this is especially stressed in the name of the Moshiach. The Moshiach, he is the Redeemer. Shem Nikra, that the Moshiach is called Metzorah. Moshiach is called the Metzorah. He is called the leper. Remember, we learned that before in the Talmud. Metzorah de Beirabi. Sheyativ Bene Ani Sovel Chalaim. It says that the Moshiach is sitting among the poor people and he bears their sickness. Mendugoyim Vahu Nami Menuga. They are lepers and he's also a leper. Shemashiach will be, Nimsa is found in this world, in time, in place. It's not some sort of a spirit that comes down. It's going to be a human being, a regular, normal human being with toes and arms and eyes. And he's going to be here in the time of exile, and in the situation of exile. King David, for instance, it says the Moshiach is going to be Ben David, just like King David. Shesovel, and he will bear Chaloim, Golus, he'll bear the sickness of exile, like it says in the Gemara, Omer Rav, Imen Chayahu Kamo Rabbeinu HaKodesh. It says in the same Talmud, in the continuation, it says, who is the Mashiach? So Rav said that if Mashiach is somebody who's living now, it's going to be like Rebbeinu HaKodesh, Rebbe Yehuda Nasi. But if Mashiach comes from someone who's dead, if Mashiach is going to raise up from the dead, in Mashiach me'otam shechayim that Rebbeinu HaKodesh, that's right. If Mashiach is going to be from those who are living now, then certainly it's going to be Rebbeinu HaKodesh, Rebbe Yehuda Nasi. That he suffered from disease, and he was a very holy person. Mitzape b'kotza ruach, and he's waiting all the time for redemption. The Melech HaMashiach, Goel es Yisrael, he'll be a living person. After that, it says if he comes from the dead, if Mashiach is someone coming from the dead, then it'll be like Daniel. Right? The Rebbe didn't continue because he's talking about that the Melech Mashiach is going to be a person that's going to be physical in this world. And if he's going to be like Daniel, that he's dead, so we'll come back to the world. He'll be back in the world. The Melech HaMashiach will redeem all the Jewish people. The Geula Amitit V'Shlema, and he'll be a leader that will inspire and lead all the Jewish people. to a redemption that there's no exile after it. Like the Rambam says, Omen Melech Beit David, there's going to be a king from the house of King David. Have to be a direct descendant from David. As we will continue tomorrow, God willing. What did we learn today? We learned a very deep and beautiful message that not only is the world good and is every human being good, and that God is good and that the Torah is good, but it's just being covered over. But the Rebbe is saying even the exile is good. Even the exile that we're in is really good for two reasons. Number one, it itself, of course, it's revealing the little bit of bad and selfishness which is inside of it, us, which is a result of these tremendous high revelations of God, which are being revealed now, that we're simply not aware of, which you can't be aware of, but it's at least getting rid of the bad that's covering over this. And number two, it demands from us that we reveal the essence of our soul, self-sacrifice. And this is going to bring Moshiach, who's also going to be called a leper, for both two reasons. Number one, he's going to be in the exile. He's going to be part of it, but he's going to reveal these tremendously high awareness of God that's going to purify the whole entire world, reveal the good in the world, to reveal how good everyone is, and to reveal how good the world is, how good God is, especially how good the Torah is. When that good is revealed, that's going to be eternal life. There won't be any bad things. Exile, death, no more, a thing of the past. As God willing, we hope will be any instant now. Now let's do the Dvar Malchut. Oh, well, Paul, if you've been waiting there for a long time, I'm sorry, we're at the end of the class. I got to fix up this thing. It could be that it's impossible for me to fix up. It could be. It could be that it's impossible to fix up. My son tried to do it yesterday. I'm talking about having to wait in this waiting room for me to let you in. Okay. I'm sorry you had to wait. I don't know how long you had to wait there, but I didn't see you. All right, let's go. We're now in Yom Yom. Oh. Hasidim asked the Alter Rebbe, which is the superior service of God? Loving, superior service, right, of God. Loving God or loving the Jews? Which is more important, to love God or to love the Jews? So we answered, but I'm sure you're aware that there's the famous story that Rebbe Akiva was asked by a convert, a non-Jew, whatever he's asked, tell me the whole Torah when I'm standing on one foot. So he said, love your neighbor as yourself. Anyway, Rebbe Akiva said, that is the main principle of the Torah. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love another Jew. A Jew is commanded to love every other Jew. You're commanded to, you're supposed to love everybody, but the commandment is, how do you say, love begins at home. So love every Jew as yourself. So what is greater, loving God or loving every Jew? They said, well, I mean, both of them are the same. If you love God, then you're going to do what it says in the Torah, and you're going to love every Jew. That's what the whole thing of the Torah. But what about loving every Jew? So this is the main thing of the Torah. Let's see what the first Rebbe answered. He said, both the love of God and the love of Jew are equally engraved in the soul of every Jew. Neshama, nefesh, and ruach, all the aspects of the soul of every Jew. The Torah says it clearly. I have loved you. Ahavti otchem omer Hashem. I have loved you, said God. This is in the prophet Malachi. So God loves every Jew unconditionally. So if you love every Jew, it's better than loving God. Why? Because loving Jew means that you love the one that you love loves. Let's take a simple example. Which is better, having love for your father or for your brother? So the answer, you love your father. Your father loves all the children. You love your father. You owe so much to your father. He says no. your father loves his children more than anything else. And your father is pleased by love between his siblings more than anything else. If he sees that his siblings are getting along, right? His siblings is the right word, his children, his offspring. So I have to look that word up. If the father sees that all of his children are getting along, and that gives the father more pleasure than anything. If you don't have any children, you don't know. But that gives him more pleasure than anything else, seeing his children get along one with the other. So if you love your brother, then you are loving the one that your father loves. So that's even better than loving your father. It could be you love your father, but your brother gets in your way, or there can be competition between the brothers, like that we saw with Yosef and his brothers. So loving your other brothers means that loving another Jew in a way is better than loving God. Why? Because you're loving the one who your beloved, namely God, the one who you love, loves. Not only that, you have a lot of good reasons for loving God. True, God does a lot of harm. There's a Holocaust and all these terrible things. But on the other hand, God creates everybody. Everybody that was killed in the Holocaust, God created them. He's creating us right now. So, the good overrules the bad. On the other hand, so God is good. He's creating me right now. On the other hand, my brother, sometimes he's, I'm separate from him. There's a lot of times no reason to love him whatsoever. And there's a lot of reasons for the opposite. Maybe he cheated me, maybe this or that, right? So to love God, you always have good reasons. To love your brother, you haven't got, nevertheless, it's a commandment to ignore your negative attitudes and reasons and feelings, and to stress the positive ones that God says you got inside of you. That's the whole essence of the Torah. The whole essence of the Torah is not necessarily what you want is good. Nature is not necessarily good. It's not bad, but it's not necessarily good. So if your nature is that you don't like your brother, so you have to overcome your nature. That's in a way much greater than loving God. If you love your brother because God says so, so that really is the greatest expression of loving God. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, God willing, at 3:00, there will be a class, God willing, and there will be a story.
What about the chauffeur?
1 minute. Let me just turn this thing on.